It's hard being a mom because you second guess everything. And you take the blame for everything. So when she's not going down for a nap, shouldn't have skipped the second song. Shouldn't have put her in her pants. Should have put her in the shorts. The temperature of the house is too high. I didn't read her 2 books. I only read her 1. There are so many things that you do in a day and you're like, what's the one thing that I did wrong? Same thing when things go right. You're like, okay, what were the things that I did that made that work so magically? Hey guys, my name is Shayla. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, I talk about motherhood. I talk about pregnancy. I talk pretty fast. We do things a little bit granola. We do elimination communication, cloth diapering, floor beds, and just kind of talk about all the things. If you love channels that are like perfectly curated, lots of inspo for how to dress and how to do your house, this is not the channel for you. Show up as I am so that I can get these videos out. I just hit 100,000 on my YouTube, so if you love this, please subscribe. If you do like the video, please like the video. We'll set a goal of 1,000 just because it's fun to hit these goals. Still working on a space to film these. Right now I'm in the upstairs bedroom, not completely finished, but we're working on it. This video is talking about how being a mom is hard. Because it is. 11 reasons why it's hard to be a mom, and then a couple of tips at the end for how to cope. Now, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but I just have to say this. I love my daughter. I love being her mother. I would not change anything, but that doesn't mean that it's not hard. So one thing that I've learned about motherhood is that ands are a big part of motherhood. This is really hard, and I love my daughter. I'm having a tough time, and I wouldn't change anything. It's a very strange thing to wrap your head around, but it is essential to surviving. So I've got 11 things that I've just kind of found that have been really difficult. I watched a video by Jess Hover. I remember when I was pregnant and I watched a video by her and she just explained that being a mom was hard, and I was like, can she say that? Can she say those things? Ah! And now I'm here and I'm like, okay, yeah, can, and she did, and I'm so glad. Because when you're having a hard time and all you see is really beautiful everything on all the social medias, you're like, am I the only one that's struggling? Am I the only one that's still in my pajamas and can't remember the last time I showered and my baby is not doing these things that the other babies are doing? You're not. Number 1, I was like, Seth is super excited about this baby. Things are gonna be 50-50. We're gonna split everything evenly. Rarely. Maybe, but rarely. So for us, our daughter didn't take a bottle. So that means that to be fed for like the first 6 months to now 14 months, it's me. Seth couldn't breastfeed her. Granted, I did not have to go back to work, so she didn't need to take a bottle. Some people are like, what if my baby, I think your baby will take a bottle if you need to, but I was always there. And it was easier for me because I didn't have to clean parts and all that stuff. So then we are wired to wake up to our baby crying. They are not. So you're like, why can you be sleeping when she's crying right next to you? So there's just a few things like that that are just different. The load cannot be equal. So then you have to talk to your partner and figure out how to make it more equal and how to make it so, yeah, they can't nurse, but they can still do laundry or they can still make food. Seth and I had to have a good conversation about like, okay, what are your tasks? What are mine? And it's loose and sometimes we don't follow it. I always take care of bedtime, but then every other night when she wakes up, he goes and then I go, and then he goes and then I go, so that we know that we have like a full night out. Number 2, I've been reading a lot of like books talking about how different cultures parent differently. So interesting, and it really makes you relax about doing something wrong. Oh my gosh, I missed her nap while I'm traveling and she's gonna be all thrown off. And then you're like, in Argentina, they stay up till 2 a.m. with their infants because it's holiday, and you just like roll with it and you keep going. And I was like, oh, maybe she'll be all right then. One of my favorites is called Hunt, Gather, Parent. It talks about how the nuclear family is a new thing. Before, you would have your mom and your dad and your auntie and your grandma and your neighbors, cousins and their children, and everybody would be either living together or just like always hanging out together. So you always had that support. So literally your child was raised by everyone. Now, if you don't have that, you're the playmate, you're the cook, you're the cleaner, shopper. Learning how to do all of these things plus doing all of these things. You don't have your mom or your grandma or your auntie there telling you, oh, you just have to try this. We rely on Instagram, and I'm like, Mom, she can't go to sleep yet. She's too short of a wake window. And my mom's like, what's a wake window? What? Number 3, Jess said this in hers, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. There are not measurable successes like there are in other parts of our life. I just hit 100,000 on YouTube. I'm about to get 100,000 subscriber plaque from YouTube. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I don't know if you can hear my baby squawking downstairs. Or you get a promotion at work. Or like things that happen where you get rewarded instead of just like, you did a really good job today. Good job being a mom. Those things are essential. Number 4, purpose and identity. Before she was born and I was a traveler, I had freedom. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to Arizona tomorrow. I was spontaneous. I could go wherever I wanted and do whatever I wanted. And I had time freedom. I could work wherever I wanted. And I just like could do all these things. And I was like loving it. Now, it's really hard to do those things, and it's really challenging because you've created this person that you were before you had your baby, and now with your baby you have to become a different person because you are responsible for them, you are taking care of them. There's just a lot. Some people find their identity in motherhood, and that's beautiful. Some people need to lose it and re-find it, and that's what I'm currently doing and processing doing. One thing that I found that helps is just like picking one thing. What's your one thing? Do you want to at least get one 30-minute workout a day or an hour-long workout a day, and like figuring out how to manage that? Make sure that there are never dishes in the sink. What do you need to kind of feel a little bit like yourself? For me, I'm starting a podcast because I need that human interaction with other people. I've been on a couple of podcasts recently, and I'm like, that was so great. I just feel so great. It was so wonderful. And I was talking about this and this. I loved it. My cup was overflowing. So I was like, I think I should start a podcast so that I can have these conversations with people. Because a lot of times on Instagram, I post things and then professionals get in my DMs and start telling me all these things, and all that knowledge is in my DMs. I want to interview these people and get it on a podcast so that other people can know. So that's what's coming in the next couple of months. Okay, so I guess with that goes responsibilities. Number 5 is you're responsible. Trying to get them to sleep. I had a friend visit the other day and it took me an hour and a half to get her to sleep. That's not fun. I want to hang out with my friend. But you now have to do things for someone else, and that's sometimes a bummer, and you do it anyway. Learning how to ask for help is really important. I'm still working on that. There are a lot of responsibilities, and you need to start delegating. Otherwise, you'll go insane. I will know. I would know. I know. Because once I finally was like, Seth, could we do every other night when she wakes up? And he's like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, great. Number 6, we live in an Instagram era where there is so much information that there's conflicting information. You take this course and you take this course and they tell you opposite things. Well, what's the right thing? So that's the point. There are 1,000 ways to do it right. So you need to figure out what you align with the best, follow that account, or talk to those moms. There's just so much information. Our motto has been do what works until it doesn't work, and then change it. So for us, I nursed to sleep. I wanted my period back. I wanted to sleep longer. So I was like, all right, it's been a year now. We need to make a change. So we night weaned her. She's still waking up a couple times a night, but I got my period back. All right, success. With all that information, you want to, like I said, find the accounts, find the moms, find the people that do similar things to you, and then just like talk to them about things. I have people that are like my breastfeeding gurus that I go to with my breastfeeding questions, or my bed sharing moms and I go to them with my questions. And sometimes they're way more extreme than I want to be, but their knowledge is super helpful and they don't judge me. If they are breastfeeding until 4 and I want to stop at a year, they're like, okay. But if I'm like, well, what are the benefits of going longer? They have that information. Being open to hearing what other people have to say and hoping that they're open to whatever choices you make. Number 7, it's hard being a mom because you second guess everything. And you take the blame for everything. So when she's not going down for a nap, shouldn't have skipped the second song. Shouldn't have put her in her pants. Should have put her in the shorts. The temperature of the house is too high. I didn't read her 2 books. I only read her 1. There are so many things that you do in a day and you're like, what's the one thing that I did wrong? And same thing when things go right. You're like, okay, what were the things that I did that made that work so magically? Somebody just told me it's what your toddler eats in a week, not what they eat in a day. Ooh, that relaxed me a lot because sometimes she does eat nothing. Sometimes she eats a ton. That made me feel a lot better. Number 8, hormones. Holy hormones. It is hard being a mom because we have insane hormones. We're a crazy person dealing with the normal person. Most of the time we're like, that makes sense, but I don't want to just say that you're right because it doesn't feel right because my hormones are going insane. I have a friend who is talking about adoption. She's like, it's going to be pretty cool being a dad. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I'm not going to have all the hormones from pregnancy and childbirth and labor. I was like, all right, I see where you're coming from there. Or just the partner who hasn't given birth. The hormones really add a little something something. Number 9, I don't have the mental capacity to think of things outside of what I'm doing at this moment until she goes to sleep. So during her naps, I can do some grocery shopping. I can get some work done, answer some emails. Otherwise, I can't think. I can't think past what I'm seeing in front of me. I can't think past her running and smashing her fingers in the door, falling off a step, always like just trying to keep her alive. And I can't think past that. Ridiculously taxing on my brain. Number 10 is COVID. So I recently went to talk to a therapist and I started it with, so I don't think COVID's really affected me. I work from home anyway. It wasn't that big of a deal to not leave the house. Then I'm going through the rest of the hour and I'm like, yeah, the babysitter wants to take her like outside the house, wants to drive her somewhere. What if she just walks away and then you can't find her? What if someone takes her? And she was like, so I think maybe COVID has affected you more than you thought. Maybe. Finally, number 11, working from home. Remember when I said I couldn't have a thought past what was going on in front of me? That's why this is so freaking hard. I can't think how I've coped with this. Doing 100% of work, 100% kid time. And I feel way better than doing 50% all the time. Something that used to take me all day, an hour, I get it done because that's all I have. Here are 4 things that I have found that make a huge difference. Thing number 1, I kind of already mentioned. Figure out your thing. What is your thing that you need? I was doing 10 minutes of meditation every day. Holy crap. Talk about giving time to get time. Just 10 minutes of meditation just on the Peloton app or something on YouTube. I just like would just go into another place for 10 minutes where I could sort out my thoughts. I swear you just start channeling whatever you believe in. Things just like come to you. Allows all of these spinning pieces to just kind of settle. So find your thing. Is it working out? Is it making sure you have dinner? Getting a certain amount of work time a day? Pick your thing, stick with it, figure out what you need to do to get that. For me, I need a babysitter these times, and I like just made it happen. You need to create that community. You figure out one of Seth's aunts is retired and I have a babysitter. My neighbors, I just made a BFF at the park. When you meet a mom at the park, it feels like you're dating again. Oh, cute kid. How old are they? Oh, 1 year. Okay, well, can I get your number? Is that weird? I don't know. Is that weird? I don't want to tell you where I live yet because I don't know you, but like, could I have your phone number? Cool. And then you text me, you're like, had a great time at the park today. Be confident in your choices. Just make a decision. Make sure your partner's on board. Roll with it until it doesn't work. That's it. Just keep doing it until it doesn't work and then change it and figure out what to do then. Trust that you know what's best for your family. And don't worry about what other people think. Finally, ask for what you need. This one's very hard because sometimes it's just easier to do it yourself than to have to like sort your thoughts out and explain what you need. But if you can do that, your life will be better. Or just explain to your partner what things you're experiencing and they might come up with solutions. Partners love solving hard problems and they can come up with a solution. Now they might help you to implement it. Like for me, Seth, I just cannot get to the gym. So then the other day he's like, all right, how about tomorrow? I'll put her down and you can go to the gym. The fact that he offered it, I was like, okay, yeah. Also, try and think of what is the one thing that you would hire out. Someone I know has someone come and clean their house. I want to eat well. Somebody said that they found someone on care.com that will like cook all of their meals for them. I'm just talking about like HelloFresh, Green Chef, or whatever meal service there is. So I'm trying to find one right now that I like. I've tried a bunch. But anyway, pick your thing that you want to spend some money on to make the rest of your life better. Here's another fun fact. Every child that you have, your relationship suffers for about 3 years. And every subsequent child, it suffers for about 3 years. So hang on tight, try and work together, and power through, because it's hard. It's hard being a mom. It's hard being a partner right now. It's hard. It's hard. If you're hearing this and you're like, what are you talking about, Shayla? This is the greatest thing of my life. Jess Hover said this, and I will repeat it. This whole video apparently is just a copy of her video, so go watch hers. She said, don't dim your light. We need moms like you for us struggling moms to go. I have somebody that I go to who just like thinks this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to her, and she is working full-time from home with no sitter. I'm like, how do you actually, how? And so when I am struggling, I go to her and she gives me some perspective. All right. I'm gonna go downstairs to my babbling child. I hope this validates your feelings that being a mom is hard, because it is hard. And it's wonderful. And we wouldn't change anything. And we'll figure out the things that we need to change to make it easier. Thank you guys so much. If you like this video, please like the video, and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye.